Hi, my name is Peter.
And I'm Jakob.
We are both students passionate about environmental science and natural resources.
During our studies, we got excited about seaweed. Seaweed is a wide term that we use to describe a variety of plants that grow in water. While land-based crops need soil, fresh water, and large inputs of fertilizers, seaweeds don't need any of this. Seaweed farms take up nutrients, thereby improving the water quality. They also create important habitats for marine fauna and flora. Once harvested, seaweeds can be processed for food or for other purposes. All in all, cultivating seaweed sounds just like the ideal solution for a lot of current global environmental dilemmas.
That is all theory. But now we want to see how the reality of seaweed farming actually looks like.
We want to get our hands on some seaweed and get a realistic understanding of seaweed cultivation.
So we will go on a journey and meet seaweed experts all around the world. First, we traveled to the city of Trondheim in Norway. Here, in the crystal clear fjords of the Atlantic Ocean, the young Norwegian company Seaweed Energy Solutions is growing seaweed with their own proper cultivation system. Seaweed Energy Solutions belongs to the European pioneers of seaweed farming, and we are excited to meet Kaya, a manager of Seaweed Energy Solutions.
I'm Kaya. I'm working for Seaweed Energy Solutions as a cultivation manager. Most companies in Europe today are producing for food, that's my impression. Seaweed Energy Solutions started with a vision of producing seaweed for energy. And we hope one day that we might get back to that, but at the moment we see that the way to earn money with seaweed, with the technology and the cost levels that we have today, that is to produce for food markets and the high valuables. Yeah, I think at the moment we see that there is a huge interest in food. It's a really growing trend in Europe to eat seaweed. We do believe that market will, we haven't reached to the top of that market, that will still develop a lot, and we will see a growth there. And in cosmetics, but I think eventually in order to make a profitable industry, it will need also to develop into more industrial purposes.
The life cycle of seaweed is a little complex and contains several stages. First, mature plants form male and female spores. Once they are released to the water, they further develop into male and female gametophytes that can already be seen under the microscope. The gametophytes in this stage are already able to attach to natural surfaces, or in this case to the prepared seedlines. After female gametophytes are fertilized, they soon develop into sporophytes that you can already see with bare eyes. Seaweed cultivators control this process indoors.
So these are the seedlines, ready to be seeded. Freya.
Yes.
Driving out to Freya.
Freya.
And what happens in Freya?
We're going to, we have a trailer full of baby seaweeds in the back here, so we're going to deploy them in the sea and let them grow for a couple of months, and then we, in our sea farm, we have a sea farm in Freya. So then, yeah, that's the mission of today.
It's gonna be nice, and well, we don't know if it's gonna be that nice, we hope so, but it's gonna be exciting. It's a storm, alright, spoiler.
Look at this nice warm inlet.
After 4 to 6 weeks in the hatchery, we can bring them out here, and then we store them in these tanks here. until we are able to have better conditions to deploy them in the sea.
So here it's not about growing them or something, it's just like
It's storage.
It's a storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until them. And then sometimes we can take them straight to the sea, but when the weather is like this, it's really nice to have an opportunity to store them here.
Yeah, okay.
I think that everyone that now are producing seaweed in a certain scale, I think we have quite good ideas of what kind of technology we need. So, but it's just like you cannot invest a lot of money in technology, it's unwise to do before you have a market.
Yes.
So we really need to work on the market, and at the moment the market is growing, so I think it is quite promising, the future. I think it's becoming more, people are becoming more aware of seaweed, that seaweed actually is food, and also with this whole like people becoming more, have been paying more attention to that it's not good for either you or the environment to eat so much meat, so you see more and more people going vegetarian or vegan, and people that also have more meals that are just vegan or vegetarian without being it completely. And it's also like a little bit of a green wave over Europe. I think people are more aware of where the food comes from, what it is, and seaweed fits very well in people's picture, or people's it fits very well to this idea.
From Norway, we continued our journey to the Faroe Islands, a tiny island state in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The Faroe Islands provide perfect environmental conditions for seaweed cultivation.
Just met some real seaweed enthusiasts on the Faroe Islands.
Here, we first met with Olavur and his team from Ocean Rainforest. Olavur is an expert of seaweed cultivation in Europe and a true businessman. From him, we hope to learn about the opportunities of seaweed cultivation in Europe.
Ocean Rainforest uses a different method of seedline preparation than most other companies. They buy gametophyte cultures and mix them with seawater and another ingredient. This way, they create a glue that can be massaged into the seed lines and makes the gametophytes stick to the lines directly. Therefore, no stage of indoor growth in tanks is needed.
Here they grow the seaweed vertically in the water, so we have to mark the distances on which different species are actually going to be grown. So then in the end, the line hangs in the water, and on different levels you will have different species of seaweed.
Peter, what is your new assignment here?
The new assignment is to put the two types of seaweed species on the rope by just using the spores and the glue, and just give it a nice massage so they attach evenly on the rope. This is one, Wacame, and then you move to the next one where the Saccharina latissima spores are in.
Going out to both cultivation sites of Ocean Rainforest. It's going to be amazing. We will exploit the seed lines that we've prepared in the last days. We will put them there.
idea about ocean rainforest when we started it was to come up with a design that could be deployed offshore. Seaweed has a great potential to do a lot of replacement of fossil-based products in the world. But if we're really going to have an impact, we need to do it at a large scale. And if we want to produce seaweed at a large scale, we cannot only base our cultivation systems to be near shore or in fjords, because the competition about the shoreline and the near shore ocean areas is quite severe. Living here in the Faroe Islands, it's important that we use the ocean because that's our main resources, and we use it sustainable. And that's why we started to test our systems in this area. This is an area that we categorize as offshore and open ocean. So the main conditions for growth here is quite good. Because we have the salinity in the ocean that's very stable, we have the temperature that's stable, and we have light that's plentiful from now on, from March, April, and until September. And that's basically what's needed for having a good location for seaweed cultivation.
These have been planted in November. So they're basically like 4 or 5 months old. So one pretty unique thing that Ocean Rainforest does here is that they leave their seed lines in the water for 3 years, and they just cut from the seaweed, from the bottom part. That way we can see a whole ecosystem developing, something that we just saw when we pulled out the oldest seed lines out of the water. Those were not so much for the purpose of harvesting anymore. They were there for a long time, but it was beautiful to see how there was a whole ecosystem grown on those lines. Like you could see crabs and all kinds of other little creatures and different varieties of seaweed, and yeah, they really stand for their name. Like that was a little ocean rainforest we saw there. That was really amazing. It's nice to see that we can grow food and on the same time create something for the environment and create a new ecosystem.
We can make a change in the world in terms of producing a sustainable biomass and basically make the world a better place with less pollution and combating climate change and so on. And at the same time make an industry.
Agnes is not only cultivating and harvesting seaweed for food, but is also into other products that can be made out of seaweed.
The seaweeds were the organisms that got me into biology. That started already when I was, in 16 years old or something like that. Being from the Faroes and growing up here, we don't have much vegetation that we can see, but if you put your head down under the surface there is a whole new world. So I guess the combination of these beautiful organisms and the environment they were living in, and then the whole biology, photosynthesis, and yeah, that got me going. We have most of our production here, and then this is used as a test site where we compare growth from here to there.
Together with her brother, Agnes owns the company Tari. In their latest experiments, they are combining salmon aquaculture farms with seaweed cultivation. For this project, they collaborate with Faroese salmon aquaculture companies. Their goal is to improve the environmental impacts and the salmon health in multi-trophic systems.
If we can sell a product that is functioning as a service in making the established aquaculture in the Faroes work better, that is a product that fits very well into our philosophy. I feel that we're starting a new thing here, and we have all the agriculture to lean up against all the faults and all the things that they have managed to do wrong. We can actually go ahead and try and make it right.
In Europe, we were able to meet seaweed pioneers and to witness a young and growing industry. In order to see how big seaweed farming can actually go, we wanted to visit the biggest seaweed production regions in the world. Therefore, we decided to go to China and South Korea. So we're having a typical Chinese breakfast
In Beijing.
And guess what's in the breakfast soup? Some delicious seaweed. So next stop, Qingdao. We are on the way to the Institute of Oceanography of the Chinese Academy of Science in the beautiful bay at Qingdao.
It's right there. We're already here, Institute of Oceanology.
And here we are going to meet Professor Zhao Shunpeng and his research team on seaweed cultivation and breeding.
Yeah, the exciting thing here is that they have created different seaweed breeds. They call them cultivars, and they will show us their facilities, and they will also show us the seaweed farms where they are already grown.
In Qingdao. Private university.
I am Shou Junpeng. I work in Institute of Oceanology, Chinese Academy of Sciences. I'm a research professor, majored in marine biology, specialized in seaweed. I'm leading a team, and our team is focused on our stock culture of seaweeds, including micro and microalgae. But the main focus is the big one, the microalgae, because we have a very big industry. So we are doing breeding, developing new culture techniques, and collect resources for long-term use. We grow 7 species of seaweed in China. So the first one, Spirulina japonica, I told before, is basically consumes human food. Wacame too. Wacame. Porfirus also. And Gracilleria. But Gracilleria is basically for abalone. Abalone, to feed abalone, and to dry them for carrageenan. For agar industry. And Hijiki also as human food. So they grew from the north Liaoning province and down to the subtropical Fujian province, all along the coastline actually. 70s started cultivar breeding, and there are scientists working on that. 70s, 80s, 90s, and slowly there are cultivar coming steadily. And the cultivar did a lot of job to increase the productivity. Now more and more kelps consume human food. If you grow very good quality products and then the price is good. I think in the past 20 years has been become a very good business to grow kelp, Spirulina as human food. If you want to harvest millions of tons of fresh biomass within a short period of time, it takes a lot of labor. But now people are getting old, the young people do not want the business, and that's a big problem for large-scale agriculture. There is no automatic machine to seed, to harvest, and to process, all very much limited. But we are working on that now. We have very big productivity now. China produces 2 million tons of seaweed biomass in dried weight, so the amount is viable. But in the future, I think to increase the quality of the products is a crucial issue. I would think that with our advanced technique to have good cultivar, and we will produce less product but with good quality. Nowadays, Rongcheng is one of the main production base in China, so it's a joint point of Bohai Sea and Yellow Sea, and there the water current, nutrients, ingredients is very good for kelp to grow, and that's why it propagates. And also, Rongcheng has a very long history to do aquaculture in the sea, so people are experienced with that, to do that.
Together with Xiao Zhong and his team, we took a train from Tsingtao to Rongcheng. Rongcheng is one of the main seaweed farming areas of China, with an established seaweed industry.
The seed lines. Yeah, it's a very labor-intensive business.
Already in the 1960s, Chinese seaweed farmers established a long line system where seaweeds are cultivated on ropes in the ocean. For this technique, seed lines need to be prepared first, and the first part of the seaweed life cycle has to be controlled indoors. This way, the seaweed spores attach to the lines before these are deployed at sea.
What we've seen, what they prepared over there, the seed lines that we saw, they will be put in ocean water and seeds in here, seaweed spores. Then it will take not much time, maybe 1 hour, for them to attach to these lines. And then they are shifted to one of all these other tanks or basins here, and there it will stay for 2 months.
thanks to our amazing hosts, we were able to visit the companies that grow and harvest the cultivars developed by Xiaozhong and his team. Together with researchers and businessmen, we took a boat ride through what was said to be the biggest seaweed farm of the world.
Here we are in the biggest seaweed farm of the world. It's just incredible how huge that area is. It's here since 50 years, so it's no big news in China. They're doing this since quite some time.
Here, seaweed is cultivated in multi-trophic systems, in combination with a variety of crustaceans and shellfish.
This is where the most nutrients come in, and they are taken up by all this seaweed. So basically the seaweed that we see here filters all the nutrition input that comes from the land into this bay.
Their kelp today at their saccharina, and these are the breeds they have developed in Tsingtao.
So today we do the measurement.
Yeah.
We need to know the length, width, biomass, color,
Yeah.
and water content.
Yeah.
This we do regularly every month, one time 1 month.
So in China, in the supermarket, you can find a lot of different seaweed products, especially snacks, as they seem to be really a big trend right now. So, after a great and very interesting stay in China, we are now heading for Seoul, Korea, and we will again meet a lot of interesting researchers and entrepreneurs, and we will see seaweed farming as well as processing.
Korea has a long tradition of seaweed cultivation and processing. A diversity of seaweeds are part of the daily Korean diet, and a fast-growing industry has developed around the farming and processing of seaweeds. Korea has become the world's biggest exporter of porfirу, or nori, a seaweed used to make sushi and other dishes. Our goal was to visit the different places where nori and other seaweeds are processed.
In a Korean supermarket, and we can find a variety of seaweed products right here. There is the Wakame that is just dried and that you can use for cooking in different ways. It comes in different packages. Then we have also the Saccharina japonica, the big kelp, either shredded or a whole blade. And this, what you can find here, we saw that in different shops too, are these large packages as well. All the snacks, they come in these packages, like we have these tiny portions together in one large package. And we have some more snacks here, like this deep fried stuff, together with some kind of dough. I can't read it, so we'll have to ask our Korean friend what exactly this is.
So far, almost every soup we had here never had seaweed in it. It gives it this nice sea taste.
Yeah, it's not a main ingredient, just a little add-on, right?
The seaweed doesn't only has its own taste, but it also carries the taste of all the other ingredients in the dish. That's also another aspect why they probably put it in there. Oh, it's good.
이것도 다시마예요.
What do you think?
So these ones are caramelized kelp. They're okay, but these ones, the fried ones with the sesame, really tasty. Here we are at the Seaweed Research Center of South Korea, which belongs to the National Institute of Fisheries Science.
Yes, and we had another inspiring interview and great discussions here at the center. We learned a lot about the cultivation sites and cultivation techniques in Korea of various species, very long history of cultivation. Very nice to be here.
My name is Eun Hwang. I am a senior researcher in Seaweed Research Center of the National Institute of Fisheries Science. So we are the only one, the National Seaweed Research Center in Korea. One of the main research area is developed new strain. These days, seaweed we utilize various aspects like food and functional food also, and medical use, and many things like and feed for abalone like that. In the middle of 1990s, the amount of the cultivation was going down. 2000, mid of 2000s, the abalone industry was developed at the time, so they need huge feed for abalone. So from that time, all the cultivation amount of seaweed is going up like that. Yeah, still, it is going up.
Nori plants are not harvested entirely, but instead parts of the plants are cut off regularly. These pieces, mixed with water, are pumped into large washing containers. After washing, this mixture is further pumped into a press that turns the nori pieces into sheets. These sheets are then dried and later packaged. The sheets can either be used directly for sushi, gimbap and other dishes, or they can be further processed. One way to further process these nori sheets is to cut them into pieces and roast them. Different flavors and oils can be added. The roasted gim is eaten together with rice in Korea, but it has become a popular snack around the world.
We are on our way to Sylt, where we will meet Klaus, the German expert on seaweed and seaweed grower himself. He's growing his own seaweed on Sylt.
And he already has a proper business with selling his seaweed to select restaurants on the island. So
he will be able to tell us a lot about the potential of seaweed industry in Germany.
The last stop of our seaweed adventure was Sylt, an island in the German North Sea. Here we met with Professor Klaus Lüning, a marine botanist and a true seaweed expert. After seeing an Asian industry, we were eager to know whether something similar could be realized in Germany and other European countries.
My goal is to distribute the use of seaweeds in Germany and to produce the biomass which we need for that purpose. There is an increasing interest in any plant material throughout the world, the veggie life, the vegetarians. And more people want to eat plants in the end. And so also algae. Microalgae are used for a longer time already than macroalgae in European or Western countries, but there are only 2 species which can be cultivated in the end in mass to supply the market. And with seaweeds we have, of course, the advantage there is a big variety of species and a big variety of chemical composition, and many of the substances, as in higher plants, are beneficial, and so for functional food, seaweed are a very good source. We only have to have them. Now, where do we get them? We cannot take all the seaweeds we want for these new applications from the wild. Because first in the wild you have the animals. You cannot destroy the wild populations of seaweed just to eat them always, because there are the kindergarten for many small animals, and so we have to cultivate them. This is increasing also in European waters now. But in the sea there are problems with cultivation of seaweeds. Animals which from May onwards use then the cultivated seaweed on ropes as a substrate. In Germany we have then the special problem that all our coasts are under natural protection, so we cannot use the seawater for cultivation of seaweeds. And so I came to the idea, and this is what is my main purpose in these years, to cultivate seaweeds far from the sea, from the coast, in artificial seawater on land. Take the example of the nori for the sushi restaurants. In 1950s, in 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, nobody knew in sushi restaurants. Now they are everywhere. No? So there is a rush suddenly, but you cannot simply plan. It should be now. Customers, not only in the restaurants, but also in normal customers, are very curious. As soon as there is a new plant to be eaten, they will buy it. But it takes time, and we cannot predict exactly when.
On our trip, we gained unique practical insights into seaweed cultivation. In Northern Europe, we witnessed an emerging seaweed industry and met true seaweed pioneers. In Asia, we saw a large-scale seaweed industry producing millions of tons of seaweed each year.
We learned that seaweed aquaculture highly depends on local conditions and that there's no blueprint for seaweed cultivation in all the world's oceans. We experienced seaweed farming as a positive solution for the many environmental challenges we face. This film and with our future projects, we hope to raise awareness for the unique opportunity that seaweed farming offers. The people and the environment can benefit together.